Yes, I'm back in debt. No, I don't care. And yes, I will be debt free before the end of the month is over. What's up, you guys? It's KeAmber Vaughn, aka CoachKe, coming back to you with another video. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and also tap the bell so that you are notified of every new video that I post. So as you guys can tell by the title of this video, I'm not debt free anymore, but don't worry, sisters and brothers, I will be before the end of the month. So what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys about kind of how credit helped me during this process, why I needed to use my credit in order to not, number one, dip into savings, and number two, not have a complete financial budget disaster. And then I'm also going to go towards the end and transition to pen and paper and give you guys the plan that I have to get out of all of this before the month ends and before I have to pay interest on anything. Okay, let me tell you guys something. Stop letting these people tell y'all that having zero credit scores is so important and closing down your credit cards is so smart. Let me tell you, sis and bro, it's not. Okay, stop letting these people tell you this. All right, so how did I get to this point? If you guys have not been following my journey on this travel nurse assignment thing, I went through hell and back before I got here. Essentially, I'm going to summarize. I thought I had the job, which I signed the contracts and everything for every day for like a week. I was told something different because of a flu vaccine, and then eventually they told me I had the job. Well, in them telling me I had the job the original time, I took off the shifts from my PRN job because I knew when the pay dates were kind of like matching up, so I knew that it was safe for me to do that and everything was just gonna be good until it wasn't no more. But I eventually ended up getting the job. So while I was looking for housing for this, I didn't really know the area that much, so I was like, you know what, let's just do an extended stay for the first 30 days. By then I will be able to kind of fill out the area and know where the Airbnbs would be the safest for me to go to. So needless to say, I paid for the first, I think it was 28 to 30 days in the extended stay. In doing so, they only charged me $34 a night because I was doing it for an extended period of time. Well, after like night 3 or 4, I had to get up out of there. I was starting to get sick and it just wasn't the best thing for me. So in that transition from trying to get out of the extended stay and trying to then immediately find an Airbnb, one of the things that I was afraid of was that I would not get my money back because of course they have a policy of no refunds. And in hindsight, like now thinking 2020, I should have known that I would get a refund. A refund is more so you stay 3 days, you can't get a refund for 3 days. But anyway, so because I didn't stay that 28 days, instead of me being charged $34 a night, I believe I should have been charged like $74 or $79 a night or something. But when I was checking out, I was like, look, whatever you guys would typically charge me for 4 days, just charge me that, give me a refund and everything else and we good. So in that process, my dad, who was the person who taught me about credit, he helped me build my credit and everything. He was like, Amber, you have to stop using your debit card for everything, especially things like this, hotels, Airbnbs, whatever, because if you get screwed over, you know, when you're using your debit card, the bank isn't going to be as lenient when it comes to false advertisement and things like that, as opposed to a credit card. He's like, if the extended stay wouldn't have given you your money back, even though you left and didn't stay those extra days, your credit card company would be a little bit more lenient. Like you could show them how it was false advertisement. You know, the things that they were showing on the website was not really what it was. You were getting sick. You didn't even stay for those days, blah, blah, blah. So he was like, when you go ahead and pay for your Airbnb, do it on a credit card, do not do it on your debit card. And I guess because I've been debt free for almost a year, you guys, this will be my year anniversary, I guess I just stopped thinking about my credit cards, really honestly, and I need to, number one, I really need to use them at least like once every couple of months just to keep the activity so they don't close down, because I'm not a zero credit score type of girl, okay? But I don't know, I just wasn't thinking about it. So in doing this, I had to go ahead and pay for all of my days with Airbnb. When you are staying for an extended period of time, typically over 28 days, they give you a discount for doing so. But on top of that, you only have like 2 days to get a refund for that, even if you're paying out in advance. You only get the 2 days after you pay for it. And then on top of that, if you go past those 2 days and you want the refund, they're going to take your money for that first month, even if you don't stay in it, and they'll give you the refund for after that. So the Airbnb that I'm in right now, I'm only here for 28 days or 29 days, and then I go to another property for my last 2 months. So in doing so, I went ahead and I put that on a credit card, like my daddy said. And you guys know from watching my videos this month, my whole goal was to just pay $200 a week for my housing. I did not expect to have to pay for everything up front, because I thought that I made it clear in my interview that I really wanted to be like work 3 days in a row, be off 3 or 4 days, and I was just going to transition back and forth from St. Louis to here. And that did not work out so well. So when I seen my schedule, I was like, ooh, sis, you got to go ahead and secure some for real housing. So needless to say, I put everything on a credit card and I'm paying it off every week. I'm going to show you guys the plan for that. The biggest thing is that when you know how to use credit the right way, you can play the game and not let the game play you. Okay, so I have multiple credit cards. I have one with Discover. That's one that I share with my dad. There's actually a little bit of debt past my debt that I just put on there this month that my dad kind of keeps on that card just for our credit purposes. That's his debt. It is what it is. It does fall on my credit, but I personally am debt free, and it's only like probably like $1,500, so it doesn't really affect very much. My credit score when I became debt free, within a month of becoming debt free, dropped from like an 820 something to an 8 maybe 04 or 09, and then it has dropped the very next month. So May it was 820, June it was like 804, 809 or something like that, and by July it was 772, and it stayed 772 pretty much this whole time. So I like to keep it that way, because I know that if you use credit the right way, you can kind of rescue yourself. But hey, if you want to close all your credit cards while you becoming debt free and have a 0 credit score, that's on you, sis, not me. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition to the pen and paper, show you guys how much debt I'm in right now, my plan to pay it off, and all of that good stuff. And that's that. If you guys have any questions, make sure you leave them down below. And, you know, I might end up answering your question as time goes on. But, oh, y'all, I'm all over the place. I was explaining the 4 credit cards I have. So the Discover card is with my dad. I have a Bank of America card. And then I also have a Citi card and a Chase card. They all have different due dates. If I'm not mistaken, 2 of them might share a due date. I know Discover is due on the 1st. Citi card is due on the 15th. Bank of America is due on the 25th. I can't believe I remember all this because I paid my credit cards off so long ago. And then Chase, I believe, is on the 19th. So yeah, they all have different due dates. So I'm going to show you guys how I strategically put things on different cards based on the due dates, and how in the end, after all of this, it's going to be like paying cash, because I ain't paying interest or nothing. Okay. Okay, so now my lighting is better. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but if y'all see this picture I posted, honey, my ring light setup is a little ghetto right now, because somehow, some way, I done left the ring light stand. I think I left it back in St. Louis, because I believe I was in this Airbnb when I took my last trip there. Yeah, so it has to be in St. Louis. I don't know. I gotta get my mom to look for it. But anyway, okay, so let's get into this. And I'm gonna have to actually need pages in here. So let me go to May, because I have kind of like everything written down. Or what I could do, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write on this so that I can use the planner. Okay, so let's talk about this housing situation. All right, so what I charged on my Discover card. So the reason why I chose the Discover card is because, like I told you guys, the Discover card had a due date of the 1st. My Citi, is it Citi? I think my Citi card is due on the 15th. Then my Chase card is due on the 19th. And then my Bank of America is due on the 25th. So this is how I determined which card I wanted to put everything on. Let me zoom y'all in just a little bit. Okay, so when I charged all of this stuff, I charged it on the 8th, right? So literally it would make no sense for me to put it on either of these 3 cards because these due dates were coming up. You know what I mean? So because of that, I chose the Discover card. So the first thing I had to do was pay for the Airbnb that I'm in right now, and this one is from 5/10 to 6/8. And what was charged was $812.16. So the next Airbnb that I'm going to after this, I had to pay for 6/8 to 7/7 to secure the spot, and that was a charge of $748.08. Now, I will be charged on July 8th as well as August 8th, but those I'll be able to pay for like in the actual month, right? So this is all that was charged on these credit cards. Another thing that I did have to do though, I did have to charge a flight on one of my other credit cards, which I believe I did that on Citi. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to like handle that as well. And that was $247.96, and I charged this on the 16th. So you see what I did there? I used Citi because I charged it on the 16th, and this was the day after this statement closed, which means I basically have a whole month to pay it off. So I'll talk about that towards the end. So anyway, let's just go ahead and deal with this housing thing. And the reason why I did this is because if you guys have been watching my videos, I don't get paid until the 24th from this job. And I did just get my YouTube paycheck as well as last week I got a bonus that I wasn't expected. I thought that was going to come on the 24th. And then also my job, I worked one shift of my PRN job, so I did get paid that on Wednesday today. Is today Wednesday? Yeah. So I did get paid that today as well. But either way, I didn't want to put myself in a bind by doing too much before my checks actually started running through. And again, if you use credit the right way, then you'll end up not paying interest anyway. It's like paying cash, but you do have to have a level of accountability and also, you know, making sure you do things the right way. I mean, I used credit in the wrong way at one point, and it wasn't that I was charging things that I could not afford to pay cash. It's just because I could afford to pay cash, I was just like, oh, I'll pay it off later. And yeah, later never came. So yeah. All right. So this is how much I charged on Discover. And so this essentially needs to be paid off by the 31st in order for me to not accrue any interest for my particular charges. Again, there is a standing balance that my dad keeps. He pays all that. They ain't got nothing to do with me. So far, this is what I've paid off. So you guys know that my goal was to pay $200 a week for housing. Right? And so I've paid, so my first week, let's see. What I've paid so far is $346.27 for that extended stay. And then, so in order for me to get to, oh wait, and then I had an Airbnb for $39.23. All right, so in order for me in week 2 to get to $400, because I only want to pay $200 a week, that means that I already paid $1,450, and I paid that on 5/17, right? So that gets me to finally $400. So on the 19th, I paid $200 as well. So let's go ahead and subtract that to see what we're left off with. So this is the balance, $1,345.74. Now, this up here, I'm not worried about at all. Basically, what I'm going to do with this, because it's not due until 6/15, this will just be in my June budget. And I'll just pay it on the first day of my June budget. I'm not tripping. Okay, so let's go here. So the next payday, if I keep this same thing of paying every Sunday, my next payday will be on the 26th for me to pay the next $200. So that gives me $1145.74. Now, this is where pre-planning is so important when it comes to budgeting, because if you don't look down the street and around the corner, you will get screwed over, okay? So, my credit card, the last day to pay it is again the 31st, right? Well, my May budget doesn't end until June 6th. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. If you have questions, leave them down below. But it's all about knowing what dates is what. So this is the last day to pay the Discover off without getting interest. This is the last day of my May budget. But this is the thing. You have to remember that in me paying this $1,500, almost $1,600, I've paid for my housing for May and June. But I still want to incorporate the $200 a week into June as well, so that I'm not paying so much upfront, because I've already paid this already. Now, when I get charged on July 8th and August 8th, I could pay those the day that they're due. But right now, it's about keeping this $200 a week for right now at least, okay? So the next pay date would end up being June 1, June 2. So 6/2. But here's the problem. Interest, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay this whole thing off on May 31st, but not with money out of my checking account, because my budget is pretty tight this month. So that's going to get me down to zero on the Discover. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my miscellaneous / investment sinking fund, because this is like a miscellaneous thing or whatever. But in order to keep this $200 a week thing going and to pay myself back, because I want to pay myself back. If this was something like an actual investment or something, it's whatever. I don't have to necessarily pay myself back, but this was used for housing, so I want to pay myself back in a timely fashion. So at this point now, I owe myself $1145.74 is owed to the miscellaneous / investment sinking fund. So my June budget, I already know. Let's go up in here. So y'all know I go by Fridays, right? So my June budget is going to end July 4th. So by July 4th, I need to pay all of this off. Pay it all back. And sorry if my handwriting's all over the place. Okay, so now let's continue with this same every week thing, right? So next is June 2nd. So me saving in June towards paying myself back is not going to be included when you know how I like show what I want to put into savings. This is going to be outside of savings. So I'm going to have additional savings on top of this. So let's go with the same $200. Now we're down to $945.74. Next we have June 9th. And we're going to subtract the same 200. That's going to get me $745.74. Next we have the 16th. Same 200. That gets me $545.74. June 23rd, same 200. That gets me $345.74. And the last Sunday is going to be June 30th, because June 7th, I'm going to end up being into my July budget. So that means on June 30th, I'm just going to pay myself back the rest of this $345.74, even though it's not $200 a week. That's okay. It's close enough. And that's going to get me a balance of zero. So you guys see how I avoided a financial disaster, because I didn't have to pay this out of my regular debit account. And also I'm able to pay myself back that same $200 a week, which was my original intention to do. And that's that. Now, I'm not sure if in July I'm going to just go ahead and pay the Airbnb bill with my debit card, or just still continue with, you know, paying it on my credit card and just paying myself back. Excuse me, not paying myself back, but paying the bill $200 a week, because what I'm going to get charged on July 8th is $773.02. So if I charge this to my credit card, that means that on the 14th I can pay $200. On the 21st I could pay $200. Actually, what I would need, no, I would have to do it on the first. Okay, I would have to use the same Discover card. And then on the 28th I would have to pay $373.02. So I think that this is how I'm going to do it. I think that I like it this way, just using the credit card and paying the bill over time without having to worry about due dates and stuff. And the thing is, because I do budget on a weekly basis, it's so easy to remind myself to pay the $200. If you weren't budgeting strategically, it would be difficult. You would probably miss weeks and stuff like that. But you guys know how meticulous I am with my weekly paycheck to paycheck budget. So reminding myself is not really an issue. So this is how I got back into debt, y'all, and this is my plan to get back out. I think that I have a sound plan. Again, I won't have to pay interest on anything because my balance will be completely paid off before the statement or that cycle ends, so I'll be good. So again, if you have any questions, leave them down below. I hope that you guys understood where I was coming from and why I'm a credit person, y'all. I never get down with the zero credit score thing. I just think it's archaic, but that's just me. And I feel like if you use it the right way, you can use it to your advantage and not have to worry about things, but you have to also have self-control, which y'all know I have a whole lot of. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, but other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.